Hi, I'm Laura Madden. I'm a sustainable fashion advocate and an influencer, and I'm also an artist. Now, you may have noticed me before working with Goodwill on the fashion side, doing some of their meetups, doing the Reclaim Fashion event, but today I'm here to tell a little bit more about art. I'm going to give you some really cool and stylish ideas for your Goodwill flip entry that you may not have thought of that's actually going to set you apart from the other entries. Let's head on back to the art section. Something I love and I always look for is vintage looking frames. Now, I don't know for sure if this is vintage or not, but it sure does look like it could be. I love that accent. I love the thickness of this. There's a lot of depth. There's a lot of detail. Something else I look for is the back. How easy would it be to take this apart? Since I see just this one piece of paper that's already has a little bit of a rip, I'm guessing it's not going to be that hard to take it apart. So for me, that would be a great find. Vintage looking frame, detail, easy to get apart, and I think I could make something really cool. I like the mix of classic and modern, so I'd remake this with something a little bit more modern on the inside, and I don't know, maybe I would even paint the frame. It's wood, so it would be easy to paint. This is the find. So something I love is texture, and when I'm creating my own work, I really like to use a lot of texture on canvases. This one actually has a lot of its own texture. As you can see here, I have no idea what they used, but this is a great size canvas. For me, this is a find. I love it, but the biggest thing that I find is unique is the texture. Love, love, love texture. So this for me, good find. So I want to show you something that I would probably pass on. It's cool, but I would probably pass on this one over here, and I'll tell you why. This one has some type of a shiny film, and I'm not sure what it is, but I'm also not sure how it would react to paint and what kind of paint I would need to cover this. So something I do like about this is like the pop art style. I like the bright colors. This would be cool to embellish, but again, at least at this point in my art career, I am not sure what type of paint I would need to actually get good coverage over what's already there. So for that reason, I would pass on this. I also find that there's a good amount to wear. There were some hanging materials on this. So I would have to take this to a framer and have them refurbish some type of wire hanging apparatus. And I'm not really sure what that would cost because there is a lot of wear on the back. So unfortunately, as cool as this is one that I would pass on. So I'm gonna do one last look through to make sure I'm not missing anything that really needs to come home with me. Sometimes it takes a few times just kind of like looking things over. Things kind of pop out at you. I actually really like this one here. I love a square canvas. It's kind of a little more of a unique shape, and I love the depth here. It's just a little bit thicker than your standard canvas, and it does give a really cool look when this is hanging on your wall at home. It's also pretty good condition, but again, it's a nice little size. You could easily remake this, restyle it into something really cool and modern and stylish. So I think that's it for this store. I hope you will join us at our next store. We're gonna move on to the Raintree and Hayden store in Scottsdale, and we'll see you there. Hi guys, we're at the Raintree and Hayden store in Scottsdale, and we're gonna check out what they have for us here. Something I really like over here. This frame, it's unusual. Now something I look for that's really important is, can you even pop out the canvas? That's a huge factor because sometimes it could be a real mess. So I look for the pieces that have a canvas that can very easily be popped out if the nails are exposed. Like this one here, you can see the nails are exposed. Easily get those nails out, pop out the canvas, and then I would go from there. I would actually maybe start with a can of old house paint that pretty much past its prime, but it's still usable for my purposes to make some modern art. And it's got a lot of tack in it. It's got its own texture just because it's kind of getting a little dry and old. But I would take some of that paint and I would layer on a nice thick layer. So then I would be creating my own texture on this. And then I would probably, see how that looks. And a lot of times a canvas, because it comes with its own story, it comes with its own, it comes with its own face. Sometimes in a strange way, the canvas actually guides me and it tells me what to do. It's like it has its own, little place in the world, and I'm just taking it over and I'm gonna refurbish it and I'm gonna extend the life to the best of my ability. This is just so cool. I love the detail. And I would, insert a canvas, something that's a little more modern, or because modern is definitely my thing. And that's what I think is so cool about repurposing, because it's easier to get that old with the new. But yeah, love gold. I love this frame. I love the elaborate detail and pairing that with something that's, a little more minimalist and modern. I want to show you an example of pretty neat piece, but unfortunately I would have to pass on it. This one right here, so cool, love the size. Again, I love the size. I love that it's got its own texture already built in. This gives me a really cool base to work with. It's a no because when you turn it around and, my first step would be popping out that canvas. This has got some pretty deep nails, and I'm not quite sure what kind of a process I'm looking at. I have to make sure that it's something that I actually, it's in my league, something that I actually can attack and make something very cool out of, and, the least amount of time relatively. I mean, all these pieces are gonna take time, a good amount of time, but that's kind of where my assessment lies, and that's a gauge for me. Is this piece a yes or is it a no? Unfortunately, this one's a no. All right, guys, we're all done looking here. I found some great options, so make sure you check out Raintree and Hayden for your art upcycle projects. We are just about done here, and now we're gonna head to 40th Street and Thunderbird for our last location. Make sure you follow along. Love this gold frame. Very vintage looking. I actually, I love how it has gold even embedded in the matting. This is something I would definitely want to take apart. And because it has glass, I would need to have it restored. So that's something that would cost a little bit, taking it apart, but love this frame, love the matting, I love the vintage look of it, and who knows, I mean, it's pretty heavy. I have a feeling this one's actually probably pretty old. So this here is also really neat. I want to point out something I look for is multiples, so I can do a series. We've got 4 framed art pieces that you could essentially remake as a mini series. You could paint the frame very easily. Okay, so another one of my favorite things, we've got the gold vintage looking frame. I love how it's got the mat built in. One of my favorite things, I love repurposing these old frames. Now, something that's important though is looking at the back. Can I actually get it apart? Because for this one, I would want to take it apart. Yeah, I would want to take this one apart and remake it separately. So I know I can unscrew these D-rings and pull the wire off. I can see the staples here are somewhat flimsy, so I'm pretty confident I can pull those staples out easily and pop the canvas out and pop the matting out. So this one I think is a go. Now I want to show you exactly what comes to mind. One of my signatures is using a lot of gold. I use a lot of gold spray paint, and I love using that just with some minimalist details, so it's got a little more of a modern, contemporary edge, and it looks kind of fashionable and stylish. And so when I look at this, I would want to make this part of one of my modern art series that I'm doing right now. It's abstract, and so I want to show you. I look at this, and the thing that comes to mind, this is a painting that I did recently, old frame. I found another canvas that I inserted, and so I've got some white paint, I've got a strip of that gold spray paint, and then I just added some splatter, so it's probably pretty close to what I'm gonna do here, something along these lines. I will be remaking this painting at a live demo with Goodwill, so make sure you follow their page for details. See ya. Oh. And don't forget to follow me at I am Laura Madden at my fashion page and at Refashioned Art on my art page. And this is coming with me. Bye-bye.